Don't worry, I had my CBD.
We're live. Let's go.
All right, guys. We are here for MFSN The Hub's Baseball Waiver Wire Show. I got caught off guard there, but I'm here. I'm Dan Ratner. We have Lad to the Bone, Kasey Scheinwald, and Ross the Boss.
Hey, everybody. I'm Ross the Boss, and I want to talk fantasy waiver wire baseball pickups with you, cowboy.
All right. I think it's time that we start with catcher. No, that's what we always do, but I'm going to start with you, Ross the Boss, because I know what you get like when I don't.
I don't know what I'm doing. What do I do? So there's, the catcher position is strange this year. There's a lot of guys that are just either getting hurt, like Molina for St. Louis, and I do like his backup and Andrew. Kasey, help me. Kitzer, is that correct?
I think it's Knitzer or something
Knitzer,
like that. Yeah.
Knitzer. I'll give you a Knitzer. So Andrew Knitzer, minor leaguer, 303 average. I mean, this guy can hit. And if Molina's out more than 10 days, this guy can get a for sure shot of maybe taking over his position. I mean, Molina's not having a great year, and he is getting older. Maybe this guy will inherit his job. I don't know. But it's a good pickup right now. The kid can hit. He's my top catcher pickup for this week. Just because his minor league resume is unbelievable. I like it a lot. And Molina is probably out for a while because he's so old. He's fragile. And who knows what will happen with St. Louis. But they're playing great baseball.
All right. Now listen, Kasey, before I even let you talk, we do have a commenter, and I really like to be deferential to the commenters. And it's Matthew Medeiros, who is a return commenter. I do remember you, Matthew. He says Kirilloff has been popping off since last time we chatted. I don't know if you guys remember, but Matthew brought him up. And this is the kind of player this is a great player to highlight in this particular episode.
Talk about Kirilloff, and he's right. 3 home runs in 3 games. It's a rookie. It's like almost a rookie record, I believe. I think the record's 4, but he's 100% right. He's really doing he started He started the season 0-13. I mean, so let's not pretend like, I found this guy that's like the next Lou Gehrig. He's not. Let's not pretend.
Well, he's been a top prospect for
but he started out 0-13.
He did start out 0-13, but another good thing about him, and I think we mentioned it last week when Matthew brought him up, was that now he qualifies at first base too. The only downside is today he was placed on the 10-day injured list, and they're not sure how long. It could be a long one because of a right wrist injury. So I still have him as a must add in the under 60% at first base or outfield, but he's an add at this point to stash him on your DL until he gets back.
There you go.
Okay, so Kirilloff, great pickup. I wish he played catcher. That would make
that would help. But the catcher on his team is probably also the other number one catcher to pick up that's owned in less than 60%. And I think I'm surprised Dan hasn't picked him up for our keeper league, because his drafted catcher, I think, went on the 60-day DL in d'Arnaud, and that's Mitch Garver. He's been tearing the cover off the ball the last few weeks. And even if it's just a streaker, any catcher on a hot streak, you got to own him. He's got to be owned. So Mitch Garver would be my top choice.
We're going streaking. I love how we have that as our term. It's not streamers on this show. It's streakers. Listen, my top pickup is Dom Nunez. And I did pick him up instead of Garver because I think Dom Nunez he's actually more of an unknown, and sometimes that's a good thing. Meanwhile, he plays in Colorado. And Dom Nunez is a decent prospect, actually. There's so many great prospects in baseball. You don't all see them coming, but this is my guy for catcher. Let's move to first base. We're going to start off with you this time, Kasey. Ross, don't get insulted by that.
I'm good.
All right.
Well, I mentioned Kirilloff. Well, Matt mentioned Kirilloff, and I seconded his naming of him. And I do think he's a must own, although the IL, he's got to be stashed now. But, there's 2. Well, I'll just pick one. Brandon Belt right now in San Francisco. San Francisco suddenly is producing both pitchers and hitters. And Brandon Belt in the last 2 weeks has been batting almost 300. He's got 9 RBIs. He's put a couple out of the park. He's never going to steal, but Brandon Belt never could steal a bag. So, but again, as a first baseman, Brandon Belt is certainly earning some playing time in a lot of fantasy rosters.
All right, now let's also mention Joey Votto broke. What did he break today?
He fractured his thumb today. He's out for a month. I talked to the manager, David Bell, for the Reds today. they're upset. I mean, he was having a pretty good season, especially at home, and I'm upset about it. He's 38 years old, last year of his contract, actually, of that $200 million plus contract that Kasey Scheinfeld actually helped him sign. And I think Votto, I hope he comes back by the All-Star break. We'll see what happens.
All right, Ross, who do you have at first base?
So at first base, me too. Well. Me too had Brandon Belt from the first place San Francisco Giants. Who would imagine I'd be saying the Giants be in first place in the first week of May? Not me. So my guy's actually injured. He's on the IR, but I think when he comes back, Kasey Scheinfeld, he's going to raise some havoc. So Christian Walker, he's not Jewish. His name's Christian Walker, and he's going to be tearing it up when he comes back. So if you want a first baseman, it's going to do amazing stats when he comes back. Christian Walker is your man. Pick him up now, stash him. He'll be doing some major damage. You watch.
Okay, well, my number one pickup at first base is Brandon Belt, but since he's already been taken, I'm going to go with Pavin Smith. I mentioned him last week.
Pavin Smith, I like that kid.
First base,
isn't he Christian
outfielder.
Walker's replacement?
Interesting.
He won't be playing when Christian Walker comes back.
Oh, he might if he keeps playing the way he is.
Listen,
now.
Pavin Smith has
Walker. He's
got a lot of pedigree. Pavin Smith. They wanted him. Listen, Christian Walker has more of a chance to get benched for Pavin Smith than the other way around.
Dare you? Okay,
dare I, sir? We have a comment. It's from a different Ross. It seems Ross 0527. I'm assuming that's a May 27th birthday. Did we start talking Kelenic? No. We have not started talking Jared Kelenic yet.
We will.
But we're about to right now because you brought him up. Also, another comment from him. Walsh is going to be a top 5 first baseman end of season. I hope you're right.
Dan certainly hopes so.
I was all over that bandwagon.
Jared Walsh is showing us some great numbers here in Los Angeles. He's a crowd favorite, and I think you're right. I think he's going to be an all-star, maybe not this year, but very soon.
Now, we should also say, Ross, the other Ross, is pointing out Christian Walker's already back. So guess what?
We're going to find out. I didn't even know that. I thought
we're going to find out really soon if Ross or I was right.
He came back yesterday.
Listen, other Ross 527. If you'd like to come on the show, please do. All you got to do is go to www.callmfsn.com. You can come on video or audio. We'd love to talk to you.
Video would be funny.
Matthew, anybody who wants to come on. And meanwhile, while we're at it, if you haven't already, click subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, hit like if you like what you're hearing, and put your comments below, and we'll get back to you personally. Let's move on to second base. Ross the boss. I'm going to start with you. But
I said this name last week, and he's still hitting like a madman. I mean, 2 hits a game. He's stealing bases. Colton Wong of the Milwaukee Brewers. As much as I dislike ex-Cardinals, especially Colton Wong, but I have to give him his props. He's playing, and he's hitting over 300, Kasey Scheinfeld. So for me, Colton Wong is my number 1 second baseman pickup for the week.
Ross, you came off as if you hate Colton Wong more than anyone. I recommend it.
I know.
Well, he did pick him as a bust preseason, so
I hope I did. I probably did just because of my.
Listen, I'm picking him as a bust right now. All right.
I'm saying he's a streaker. Just pick him up for 2 weeks and until somebody comes back.
If you want to run in the streets naked, don't do it with Colton Wong.
But
There's better players to do it.
I mean, if you look at his stats right now, seriously, look at his stats and tell me what second baseman's having a better year right now than Colton Wong. Just look
a better year or a better
past 2 weeks.
I'll give you one.
Okay, I'll name one right now.
Go ahead. Past 2 weeks. Who?
Go ahead, Dan. I'll let you.
All right, I'm gonna Nick Madrigal, and you own it yourself. Nick Madrigal. He has 7 more runs than Colton Wong. He's not going to hit home runs, but neither is Colton Wong. He's got 5 more RBIs.
In the past 2 weeks, Colton Wong's hitting 395, 2 home runs, and 2 stolen bases. So let's not pretend that Nick Madrigal's doing better than that, please.
Okay, I'll name another one. How about Josh Rojas in Arizona?
That's a shortstop.
He plays second base, shortstop, and outfield. He qualifies at all 3. He's gotten 4 bombs just in the last 2 weeks to go with a 350 average.
Okay, keep going.
Let's not say Colton Wong is
395. So far, no one's had. There's guys. There's only one player hitting over 400 right now in the Major League Baseball. Who is it? Go.
Hitting over 400.
Isn't it Mike Trout?
It's Mike Trout. Kasey Scheinfeld got it.
Who saw that coming?
I mean, he was unheralded.
Well, he's hitting over 400. No one else is hitting over 400.
Is he owned in less than 60%?
He
barely.
He
I
is.
do have his home phone number. 7 to 1. I can't give it on the air.
He's
but
owned
yes.
in less than 60% in abacus leagues. I don't even know what that means, but I'm going to say it anyway. Gavin Lux, meanwhile, is somebody who should not be floating out there.
He's
We've
hitting
talked about him before.
190, Gavin Lux.
I don't care. He's so talented. He's
insane.
He's the Alex Kirilloff of second base. Pick him up.
There you go.
We're going third base now.
Third base.
Ross, I'm going to start with you, but I'm not going to let you start next time. I just want you to know
that's fine with me. I'm picking up a guy that horrible start. I mean, his start was just horrible. It's Hunter Dozier, and you're saying, Ross, this guy's barely hitting his weight. He's not doing anything this year, but in the past 12 games, he has 5 home runs. Okay, yeah, Kasey Scheinfeld, 5 home runs in 12 games. Kasey, take that. So he's starting to hit. So that's when you want to pick a player up right now when they're ready to roll. And I think Hunter Dozier is just about to keep hitting those homers, keep getting those RBIs. Hunter Dozier is my pickup at third base for this week.
Well, that is your Colton Wong pick of the third base, because I wouldn't own him no matter what. All right, Kasey, you go ahead.
I didn't think there was a lot of strong pickups at third base this week, but I'll pick one. Ryan Zimmerman seems to be hitting the ball in Washington. He's not somebody I would trust long term, but right now he's hitting the ball, so he qualifies at both corner positions.
Kasey, hold it. Wait, he has 14 at bats in 2 weeks. Well, how can you pick up Ryan Zimmerman? What are you doing?
Hey, I'm saying it's not a strong pickup. The other one I would pick up is on the IL right now, but he qualifies at third base, and it's somebody kind of like Kirilloff, who I would pick up and stash, and that's Nico Horner in Chicago.
I agree. That's a good one. That's the Kasey we love and enjoy.
He came up tearing the cover off the ball and didn't slow down. Unfortunately, he got hurt. But as soon as he comes back, I don't think Ian Happ is well, he's not healthy either right now.
No,
but he's not hitting well enough to keep him off the field.
And that guy's 23 years old. That Horner kid's 23 years old, and unbelievable pedigree. I love that kid, and that's a great pickup.
And actually, that's just a great topic in general, and this will get us to Jared Kelenic soon, because basically, if you can't figure out a good pickup at a position, pick up a young guy. They're the guys who can break out. You're not going to Hunter Dozier, no offense, Ross, but he's the kind of player that 5
home runs in 12 games, Dan. 5 home runs in 12 games, Dan. Compute that right now. If he does
I'm going to do a computation for you. Remember when Wilson Ramos had like 6 home runs in like 5 games?
It was on my
How many home runs does he have now?
6.
Hasn't moved at all.
He's batting like 180 the past 2 weeks. I know all this stuff.
Baseball is a game of predictions. I am predicting very confidently that Hunter Dozier is going nowhere. But if you're going to pick up somebody young, pick up Jonathan
guys,
India.
hold on. Here's my impression of Dr. Dan Ratner next week. So at third base, I'm taking Hunter Dozier. I feel he's going
to... That very rarely happens, but if it does happen...
If he has to do that, he's going to have baloney on his face.
I'll be sitting here just like shaking my head like this, and in case he's going to say, Dan, didn't Ross say that name last week? And you made fun of him? Yes.
Listen, I always admit my mistakes. And Hunter Dozier will never be one of those. But listen, Ross, the other Ross has a comment. Are we forgetting about Ke'Bryan Hayes? When will he be back? Okay,
that's a good question.
Ross, I think the reason that he's not in the discussion is we do 60% and under in Yahoo. I think I even forgot to say that at the top of the show, and maybe that's part of the problem. But if Ke'Bryan Hayes is out there,
we love Ke'Bryan.
No, he's over. So he's like 80%. He's like 80-something%. Yeah. I agree with you. He's
he's a must-own.
I don't know when I haven't heard anything about his rehab or anything right now. I don't know when he's coming back.
I'll tell you what. When Ross is going on a rant, I'll check that out for you. We'll get to it. Now,
Ross the boss, that is, not listener Ross.
That's right. Well, we've got so many Rosses now. It's really nice. All right, shortstop. Kasey, I'm going to go to you first. At one of these points, I'm going to put myself first, but
you can put yourself first if you want.
First for shortstops. My list is awful with shortstops.
Well, listen, first of all, I don't know when. I'm not going to say Bobby Witt Jr. is my guy, but I think this is the time in the season when you start to think about prospects. We're going to talk about that next. So Bobby Witt Jr., I don't know when he's coming up. I would prefer Wander Franco.
Yeah.
I prefer Wander Franco because I think that he's more likely to come up soon. He'd be my pick. You want to pounce on this now. Kasey, what do you say?
Well, as Ross rantedly pointed out, I don't know if rantedly is a word, but Josh Rojas does qualify at shortstop as well. And Lurie Garcia for the Chicago White Sox qualifies at both middle infield positions too. And he's batting almost 280 with a stolen base and actually 8 RBIs in the last 2 weeks. So is he somebody you're going to want long-term for your team as a starter? Probably not, but he's a good player to pick up right now to stash on your bench to play for one of those injured guys in the interim.
All right, now we have a new nickname for the other Ross. Now he's not other Ross. He wants to be called Ross the Sauce.
Oh, I like it.
Okay, Ross the Sauce, you've got the information to come on the show, so come on, let's talk about it. Now, let's move into our It's Time to Talk
Wait, you didn't do me a shortstop. So really quick at shortstop, it's nobody new. Kasey said it for second base, but Josh Rojas, let me just tell you the stats real quick. In the past 13 games, 375, which isn't too bad, 5 home runs, 3 stolen bases. So that's the past 13 games, not the season. That's just the past. So this guy is streaking. He's streaking down the quad. Pick him up now. And whoever you have at shortstop is probably not doing well. There's a few guys that are doing great at shortstop, actually. I'm wrong.
Yeah,
I'm wrong. But if you need a shortstop, this is a great streaker. Pick him up.
Yeah, Rojas tore the cover off the ball in spring and was a hot name coming into drafts. People nabbed him late. I was one of them. But then he started off the season like 2 for 31 or something like that. So everybody gave up on him. And now all of a sudden he's starting to put it together again, and it's a good time to get on board.
That's the thing. I mean, 31 at bats. That's not that many at bats. Even if you only have 2 hits. I mean,
more than Kasey has. But
it's different if you have if you're 2 for 31 and you have 20 strikeouts. Then I'm worried about you.
Yeah.
But listen, we're gonna start to move into prospect talk.
Prospects. Yes, I got information for you guys.
It's that time of year because the call-ups are going to start happening around June 1st. That's usually when these players are going to get called up. So, Ross, I will let you get us started on the prospect talk. Obviously, I want to talk Jared Kelenic. He is the guy on the cover tonight.
Yep.
Save him for me.
I'm going to save him for you. You got him. So I'm going to talk about the number 1 prospect in baseball. This guy is 20 years old. He's shortstop. He plays for the Tampa Bay Lightning. I was going to say that's so crazy. He plays for the Tampa Bay.
Probably athletic enough he could.
I know that's so.
You got hockey on the mind because we're in the championship together.
I am playing you in the championship right now, and it's very
right.
even. We'll let everybody know who wins that next week. Wander Franco. He is coming up. I just read a report. He's coming up in the next couple weeks. He's going to be the starting shortstop in Tampa. And this kid is always, wherever he goes, he hits over 300. I mean, this kid is like a hitting machine. He's 20 years old. I don't know if he's available. He's like in 80% of the leagues he's already picked up. So don't think, I'm going to go to my league and pick him up. You're probably not going to. But regardless, if you can pick him up or trade for him, because maybe the owner's getting frustrated that this kid's not coming up right now, trade for him, get him.
Wait, we just need to be accurate about this. Wander Franco's owned in 37% of Yahoo.
Is that it?
That's it.
And you
can get this guy, and he is a difference maker.
I didn't know that. I thought he
was
like 80%. I thought. I don't know why I thought that.
That's what it should be.
So Wander Franco, he is. The Tampa Bay said they're bringing this kid up. I mean, it's going to happen soon. So you want to grab him now from waivers, and what Dr. Dan just told you, he's available in more than 50% of the leagues. So pick this kid up. He's a guaranteed. I guarantee he'll be an all-star within 2 years.
Yeah, and he's been described as kind of having Juan Soto's approach to the at-bats with that advanced of an eye and discipline. He's a switch hitter. He's got more speed, and he plays in the infield. So if you can get Juan Soto with a little bit of speed at a middle infield position, I mean, that's MVP caliber for fantasy baseball if he lives up to the hype. So that's a great pick.
Imagine a dynasty league. Oh, wow. But I'm sure he's not available in that. But that all being said, Wander Franco is my top prospect, top major league prospect right now in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, I mean, we have a question saying Franco will be called in July. I think it's going to be early.
No, it's going to be 2 weeks. I just talked to the Tampa Bay people.
Well, there you go. Ross is directly in touch with a lot of these people.
2 weeks.
All right, now it's interesting because we picked Jared Klenic for the cover, and he's actually approaching. I think he's like at 59% owned or something like that. People are on to him more. Yeah. I don't really understand why that more than Wander Franco. I would rather have Wander Franco between the two in terms of making a difference. I think Wander Franco is more ready to make a big difference. But if you look at Jared Kelenic's numbers, the fact is he's a power steals guy. So this guy is likely to come up and be on at least a 20-20 pace. So the question, can he win you your league? It really is true. A guy like Jared Kelenic or Wander Franco, and listen, if you can get both, you could easily win your league.
Unbelievable.
Now, let me say one other thing. I put 2 and 2 together about something, Ross. One of the reasons that you sometimes recommend streakers and things like that, I think you're more used to head-to-head. And I am more used to rotisserie. So a lot of times I hear Hunter Dozier and I'm like, yeah, he could be hot for 3 weeks and I'm not going to pick him up. In head-to-head, it could make a difference. So I just want to say that.
You just thought it. You just figured it out. The safe. You opened the safe up and you found the combination and you cracked it. And now you got the information. And there it is.
There it is. Now, Kasey, from a prospect angle, besides Wander Franco and Jared Kelenic, who would you put up there?
Well, you mentioned him earlier. Obviously, Bobby Witt Jr. is the other kind of big name amongst the bats that are out there that people should be considering. I've heard things about if when Mondesi comes back and if he's manning short and healthy, they would consider putting Bobby Witt Jr. in the outfield or at second base just to get his bat in the lineup, because they say he has, he lit up spring training and people felt he should have been on the starting on the big league club to start the season. But I'm going to go with somebody under the radar that maybe people aren't familiar with, because I think the top 5 or 6, they get all the press, but sometimes it's the guy you're not looking at who comes up and does an amazing thing. So I'm going to name 2 who people might not know. One is another Seattle Mariner, and that's Logan Gilbert. He's a pitcher for the Seattle Mariners who they've compared to Kyle Hendricks, only with 93 or 94 miles an hour worth of pace, like that level of command and control of his pitches already. And so Seattle is surprisingly competitive this year. And so he might get a good chance to come up. And Mackenzie Gore is the other big pitching name, but Gore has been struggling with his command from what I've read, and they're kind of down on him and not rushing him up until he figures out his mechanics. And the hitter I'm going to bring up is actually a Pittsburgh Pirate, not Cabrian Hayes, who I agree with Sauce is certainly the name to have in Pittsburgh, but he's already on the big league club. It's a young guy named Travis Swaggerty, who was, I think, their first round pick in 2018. He's an outfielder who's a power speed guy. He had almost 20 steals in 2019 and over 25 extra base hits. He's one they consider fast tracked. In Pittsburgh, let's be honest, their roster isn't exactly overwhelmed with talent. And so he could get up to the big leagues pretty quickly if Pittsburgh is trying to put fans in the seats. And so I look at prospects sometimes a little differently. I look at the ones who have the easiest path to major league playing time, not necessarily just the biggest names.
Great point, actually, because it's not always the top player, especially in redraft leagues or head-to-head leagues. You want to grab the player that's going to provide the most value fast. If you're in keeper leagues or dynasty leagues, it's different. Then maybe you're looking at, Wander Franco over Swaggerty. Meanwhile, what a great name, Swaggerty.
Swaggerty, I know. And I think the reason Franco's probably not as owned as Kelenic is because of the path to playing time. Tampa Bay has Willie Adames at shortstop, who they like, and there was no guarantee or talk about when Franco would be up. And so people were a little more skittish on signing, on drafting him or claiming him, whereas everybody knew from day one, the GM came out and said, Jared Kelenic can be our everyday right fielder coming out of the box. And so people were more excited about that. So you're more likely to take that person, especially in redraft leagues.
Okay. I'm just going to make a comment though. The Rays have Joey Wendell. Do I have that name right?
Joey Wendell.
Okay. So, and he's like a utility player. When you see a player like that, there's a lot more room to slide people around. So I think they're going to move, what's his name, over to second base. Who's the shortstop right now?
Willie Adames. I've read some things that said
they're trying to 400-foot home run yesterday too.
They're trying to get him hot so that they can trade him to somebody like the Cincinnati Reds, who don't have a shortstop of any kind.
Yeah, and you know what they're going to do? Even if he doesn't get hot, they're still going to trade him.
Talking about Cincinnati Reds,
time to play.
Talking about Cincinnati Reds, there's one prospect I want to talk to you guys about. I love this kid. He plays for Chattanooga, and it's Hunter Green. He was the number 1 draft pick 2 years ago. Had Tommy John surgery. He came back this year. He pitched in spring training. They clocked him at 104. That's pretty fast, right, Case?
That's almost as hard as you throw.
I mean, I saw this kid play in high school, played high school down the street from my house. Unbelievable athlete, played shortstop, pitched, hit over 400 in high school. I think I want the Reds to bring this kid up. He's ready to be brought up, and he throws so hard, and he's a starter. And if they give him the opportunity, he'll be a star in this league. So Hunter Green, if you guys can wait until maybe June or July, he'll be playing Major League Baseball.
And listen, you always want to pick these guys up 3 weeks before. That's how you're going to get them. We have a question. Who would you trade for Franco that is already in the bigs? Now, that's a wide-ranging question.
I mean, that's like I don't know who's – I mean,
like
a
starter already at the position?
Let's assume the interpretation. I'm going to go and Ross the Sauce, you can tell us what you meant by this, but I'm going to go ahead and say that, he's talking about like what level of player are we talking about that you want to give up for Franco?
I would like to give up like Fletcher for the Angels. Like that's what I would love to give up.
No, not what do you want to give up. What would you give up?
I think for me, the biggest named shortstop I would probably consider trading would be Gleyber Torres.
That's a good level.
And Torres is on my list of people that are going to have a great May too. I love Torres.
And he might, but he hasn't proven consistent, especially playing at shortstop.
I'm not, that's
with the bat. But his name still carries value. So I might do that and then put a Rojas or a Fletcher at shortstop until Franco gets there as kind of that fill-in.
Would you do Corey Seager for Franco?
No, because I still think Corey Seager is an MVP talent.
I'm just asking.
Shortstop. Yeah.
Okay.
But I'll tell you who I probably would trade for him.
Lindor.
Is Francisco Lindor. Yes.
I got it. I nailed that before you said it. I love that.
Lindor's
hitting 190. He's hitting 190 in New York, and they fired him.
I'm not even starting him. By the way,
I hope Miguel is watching.
And who predicted he would have an off year? Dr. Dan Ratner.
That's right. Thank you for the shout out. Okay, guys, let's get to outfielders. We can talk more about who to trade for Wander Franco. We can talk about trades all day. We love that. Yeah. Okay, outfield. I'm going to start us off.
Good.
I'm looking at, first of all, Alex Kirilloff. We already said, so I'm not going to cover him. I'm going to say the Ian Happ, I told you so. I'm just going to keep saying that as much as possible.
He actually had a really good game when
he went down.
Hurt.
I mean, the guy was carted off.
Yeah, well, okay, fine. Fair enough. I'm kicking a guy.
I watched the game. He played the Reds. Keep going.
Well, you know what? I'm going to get to more names now because I don't want to run off a whole list and rob Ross.
Just name one or two. We'll be fine. Just name
Ross,
somebody.
You go. Well, all right.
I'll
name Brian Reynolds. Brian Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds or Brian Reynolds? Ryan Reynolds.
You do that every time. No, we're not talking about
anymore.
We're not talking about Green Lantern.
That's the joke, Kasey. Shine.
No. The joke is not that it's not funny anymore. The joke is that it was never funny. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Okay. Now listen, Brian Reynolds though he's a pretty young player and he plays in the Pirates. He's going to get
slowed down. The past 2 weeks he hasn't been hitting the ball that great the past 2 weeks. I've been watching him. I have him on one of my teams.
He's no Hunter Dozier. I'm kidding. All right, Kasey.
12 games, 5 home runs, and he's making fun of the guy. Unbelievable.
How about you, Kasey? Who's?
I have one, and when I saw his name as less than 50% owned, in fact, it's 60%, and less. In fact, it's 45% owned.
Wow.
Is Tyler O'Neill in St. Louis? This
I
is
like
a guy
him. I have him on my list.
Who's been hyped, who's been producing. He's considered one of the faster players in baseball, and he's obviously a power speed guy. The last 2 weeks, he's got 2 home runs, 2 stolen bases. He's batting .440, and yet he's only owned in 45% of the league. And this is a guy who has the pedigree, and now maybe he's the guy who figured it out. We talk all the time about these guys figure it out, and you have to be able to predict when they figured it out. Maybe Tyler O'Neill has finally cracked that code to become the hitter people projected him to be.
And he's fast, and he 8 games, 4 home runs, hitting .435 in 8 games. He's doing unbelievable. I love the kid, Tyler O'Neill. Yes.
Yeah, and if you're in head-to-head, especially grab him. Okay, Ross, give us one outfielder.
I like this guy. Case, you may have to help me with his first name. Renil Tapia.
Oh,
I think it's Raimel
Tapia.
Colorado.
He's in the top. He's a top 24 outfielder in a 5-category league, batting league. So he's a top 24 guy. In the past like 2 weeks, he's hitting .320, has 3 stolen bases, and this guy won't hit home runs for you, but he's going to score runs. He's going to get on base. He's going to steal bases. And again, he's a top 24 outfielder right now in the league in Major League Baseball. So it's a pretty good pickup, and he's available in like 70-something% of the league. So it's a good.
And we know steals are always at a premium. So
it really is. I mean, we talked about it last week, and no one really steals bases much anymore. But it's a category in our league, so you got to get somebody who does it.
We got another question. About Wander Franco? Would you give up a Walsh type of player or a Meadows type of player? Now it really depends on your league. I mean,
I don't know.
It depends on the depth. I'd be more likely to give up Meadows than Walsh right now because of first base, the value of first base production versus how many outfielders there are that can produce. But it depends on the league you're in and the roster construction. If I have the depth to absorb losing Meadows, I would give up Meadows in a heartbeat to take Wander Franco, especially in a keeper league.
Yeah, I mean, Wander Franco is definitely the future, and I see a big career for this kid.
And listen, if you happen to be in a dynasty league, you don't even need us to advise you on this. You already know what's happening.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, guys, we're going to go with starting pitching. Ross, the boss. I'm going to start with you.
Starting pitching,
top pickup?
And let's talk about what happened today in Major League Baseball.
Let's do it.
We had a no-hitter. Yeah, I know he's over 60%, but John Means of the Baltimore Orioles, he had a no-hitter, 9-inning no-hitter, not the Kasey Scheinfeld 7-inning no-hitter.
I love you, Mad Bum.
That should not be counted.
You're my boy, Blue.
Should not be counted as a no-hitter if it's 7 innings. It's a joke.
Right.
So my number one pickup, I watched him last night against Cincinnati. This kid was rolling 11 Ks. He's a young kid. He pitches for the White Sox. His ERA is like in the past 2 starts is under 2. Is Dylan Cease. This guy pitched unbelievable yesterday, and he's a young stud pitcher. And I love how he pitches like a veteran. I mean, he's unbelievable. He was throwing in the mid 90s, high 90s during the game. The Reds could not even come close to hitting him. I mean, scoreless innings, great. But Dylan Cease is my guy for this week as a pickup.
Yeah, I think he's the top starting pitcher too. And the thought of a Kopech Cease top of the rotation with Giolito for Chicago, that's just terrifying. I think,
Kopech came in today and pitched like he was a relief pitcher today. He doesn't really start that much.
It doesn't matter. He's the future too.
I know. I'm just saying that
But I agree with you that Dylan Cease is the top pitching pitcher call up right now or pickup. The other guy who seemed to maybe have figured it out. I think all the Yankees are pitching better now that Gary Sanchez is no longer the starting catcher. Is Domingo Germán. He, of the 18 wins or 19 wins, whatever he had a couple years ago, certainly he doesn't make it on the character clause. So it's hard to recommend picking up somebody with his moral compass. But if you're looking at it as a business that's straight fantasy, Germán is capable of helping you as a 3 or 4, as your 3rd or 4th best starter.
All right, now I'm going to do a little bit of a deep dive here. I don't know what you guys will think.
Deep dive, get the submarine going, get the doors effects.
We're naming. First of all, I totally agree with Cease. So he was the one that just jumped out of me. And this is the kind of guy to watch out for, by the way. He was a high prospect like 2 seasons ago. He had a bad year.
Struggles.
Don't give up on these guys.
Remember the COVID year? I throw out the COVID year. So if they had a bad year last year,
he had a bad 19 too.
He had a bad 19 too. But still.
Okay, well, he was nervous. He was a little nervous. He was nervous.
This is my deep dive. Cole Irvin. This guy.
Love Cole Irvin. That's not that deep of a dive. I love that kid.
You don't think it's so deep?
No, I had him on my list.
All right, good. Well, I mean,
tell us why, Dan. Tell us why. Tell us why you like him.
He hasn't had a lot of buzz, but any pitcher for the Oakland A's, they play in that huge roomy park.
Yep.
I think it makes for a better chance to absorb some problems. And meanwhile, his numbers, if you just look at the underlying numbers, they're good. I'm always looking at whip and strikeout ratio. If you got a good whip and a strikeout ratio, I want you on my team. If you don't have the strikeout ratio, it's not worth it. But and if you have the great whip, that's going to prevent runners from scoring. Whip is good for ERA.
Whip it good. Yep.
Whip it good.
Yeah.
There you have it.
One other name, if I could, is Tampa Bay Ray, and it's Shane McClanahan.
I was going to say him too.
He's listed as a relief pitcher, although he started his last 2 appearances have been starts. Going back to the Oakland Athletics, Bob Melvin was quoted after the A's faced him and said, it's like a left-handed Tyler Glass now. So you can face, and that's about that's pretty darn good praise to get. The kid throws in the high 90s, can touch 100 with his fastball, has a wicked changeup. I think in his last 2 starts, they're not letting him run deep. That's the problem with most Tampa Bay starters. Is Kevin Cash is notorious for a short leash for his starters, but
yeah, I watched him in the World Series take out Blake Snell.
But I'll take 4 to 5 innings every time of that ratio if I get that once a week, even if it only functions as a middle reliever. It's still the only thing you're missing out on are the wins.
Yep, that's a good one. One more I want to say is Khalif Smith of the Arizona Diamondbacks. They had one of their starters went down. Khalif had a horrible start. I mean, okay, they put him in the bullpen. I mean, it was that bad. But in the bullpen, he's had 8 appearances, ERA under one, Kasey. And now he's coming. I think he pitched out all his kinks, and I think he's ready to start. I liked how he pitched last year. I saw a couple great starts actually. And Khalif Smith, if you need a starter, let's take a look at him. Just put him on your take a look list and see what he does.
All right, we're going to move to relief pitchers shortly, but we have another comment, and this is it's a juicy one. It's about John Means.
Take it about John
Means. This is the claim. John Means uses a foreign substance. There's a Twitter video rolling around of him using some sticky substance. I don't want to know what sticky substance he was using. This is a family-friendly show. Don't talk about that. Now, in the meantime, totally uncorroborated evidence. So I'm not going to spread fake news. I have no idea. If that's the case.
Let's be serious. You think a guy would risk his career?
Yes.
With fake substance, with all the video, all the technology, everybody having a camera on them, people pointing cameras at people 24 hours a day. You think he would really have something illegal? It's not like Phil Necro with the nail. Was it Phil or Joe? I think it was Joe Necro who had the nail file and put it out of his pocket. It came flying out. I mean, it's not like those days anymore. This is technology, man. They're not going to have illegal substances. So I want to see the video. I want to ask what it was. We'll find out. Don't worry.
I think it's possible that this commenter was just messing with us. We'll see. I don't know. I haven't gotten to check Twitter.
It. Come on. I mean, if he did that, he's the dumbest guy in America. Okay.
Listen, there's a lot of cheating in baseball. It's part of what goes on.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about relief pitchers. I'm going to start us off.
Great.
Giovanni Gallegos. This guy.
I thought he retired.
St. Louis Cardinals, baby.
I'm teasing. Keep going.
Listen, because Jordan Hicks just hit he just hit the DL. Now I know Alex Reyes is the top guy, but this guy is a lights out pitcher. He's great to own even as a middle reliever. He has a .60 whip.
Wow.
.60. This guy should be rostered all over the place. He's only 46% owned. You want to scoop him up. If Alex Reyes goes down, and I have to say, I'm impressed with Alex Reyes. He has never lasted more than like 9 innings in an entire season, but he's doing it this time. So Gallegos is a prime pickup for me. Kasey, who do you got?
I just picked him up right now.
I'm going to go with Jake Diekmann in Oakland. He has been pitching great for weeks now. I know Lou Trevino right now is the closer, but Diekmann stole a close from him earlier this week or late last week. He's got over the last 2 weeks, he hasn't pitched as much, but he hasn't given up any runs, and he's gotten his strikeout ratios are good. So he's somebody who, if you want somebody who might sneak in a save every once in a while, he might be your guy to pick.
Ross?
Me too had Diekmann, 0.00 ERA. Those Kasey's actually GPA in college, just so everybody knows. And he also had 2 saves the past 2 weeks. Another guy that you can pick up that will get a save maybe once or twice a week is Gregory Soto of Detroit. He had 2 saves the past couple weeks. Detroit is kind of like the manager doesn't really know who's the save guy is, but Soto's been pitching great the past 2 weeks. He could get that job. Right now it's between him and a couple other guys, but I like Gregory Soto a lot. He has great stuff. So Soto is my pickup for.
I'm going to mention another guy. I do not understand how it's 55% owned. It must be about the format of leags.
I'll tell you why. If you say the name, I'll tell you why he's not picked up. Go.
Kendall Graveman. Why is he not picked up?
No, they just announced a couple weeks ago. You brought his name up. The Mariners announced he's our closer, and I don't know why. That's a great question. I thought he was over 6%. I don't know.
You were going to tell us why.
No, I think maybe he doesn't have that many opportunities the past couple weeks for saves. But the Mariners said that's our guy who's going to be closing games for us. So unless something changed,
I'm going to name somebody who's only 12% owned, and that's Trevor May in New York. Edwin Diaz, let's be honest, is not the most reliable guy, as you watched although the home run got overturned to a double. He has proven that he can explode and lose the closer's job at any time. And Trevor May's been fantastic. And I think he would be the choice over Familia to be the closer if and when Diaz loses that job. And he's only 12% owned. So he would be somebody I would target.
That's a great call, but I want to circle back to Graveman for a second, and then I have something to tell you about Trevor May, an interesting little tidbit. So, so Kendall Graveman, meanwhile, he has a .45 whip. I was talking about Gallegos with a .60. .45 is insane, and 0 runs allowed. This guy should be
I know, I agree. I don't know why he's not.
You know, it probably is that there's leagues that don't count saves, or there's like 18-team leagues where you just don't need it. So even still, that's still low.
And then the other guy for Seattle, he lost his job completely there. What's it, Morales or I forgot his name. Who's the guy that had the job before Graveman? I forgot who it was.
I'm forgetting.
Rojas? I thought it was Romero.
Was it Romero? Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know. That's a great question. I don't know
who knows why. Now, here's my little tidbit about Trevor May. my daughter had a kindergarten teacher who was Trevor May's sister.
There you go.
It's crazy. So I've been hearing about Trevor May for a while. So
why can't you get Trevor May to come on our show and do some talk?
I bet I can. And I think it's a good idea. Should we wait until he becomes the closer?
No, get him now, and then we'll have him back when he's officially the closer.
Well, we'll say we predicted him to be a closer. So, guys, we have a little extra time here. Let's do a little "I told you so." I love the "I told you so" part of things.
I was hoping I could get the commenters' comments on the trade I just made.
Ooh, you know what? Fine, we'll pivot to that. We'll get to "I told you so" next. Go ahead, Kasey. Tell us about the trade you made. Well, of course, Ross and I know, but the viewers do not.
In a keeper league, I have a competitive team. I think I'm in second or third place right now. But my third base, I drafted Alec Boehm, hoping that he would continue his hot streak and be doing very well at this point. But he's been kind of vacuous there at the hot corner for me. And so I was looking to upgrade. And so I traded away a pretty strong package to get Chris Bryant, because Chris Bryant may have refound his MVP form. So the trade was, what was it? Chris Bryant and Devin Williams I got from him, and I gave him Alec Boehm, Bobby Witt Jr., Ryan Presley, and Freddie Peralta.
That's a big-time deal.
That was a lot. I mean, Bobby Witt Jr. is probably the biggest, ironically, the biggest name in that group. Ryan Presley in our league, because saves are very valuable, is a very valuable piece in that trade. And Alec Boehm might be in the long term a better keeper than Chris Bryant, but I felt Chris Bryant is having this resurgence, and if it's the real deal, it can help kind of project me to the win this year. And I've heard that prospects are pretty cool, but from what I understand, parades are cooler. I want to say I was champion. So the easiest way to do that sometimes is to sacrifice your young guys.
Ross, what did you think of the deal?
I thought it helped Kasey tremendously. I think he gave away a piece of talent we have no idea if it's going to be he's not like Wander Franco. I have Wander Franco
He's pretty close.
Well, not only that, but
that's me. I'm just saying, I think Wander Franco is a lot better than Bobby Witt Jr., but Bobby Witt Jr., I mean, he's not like a surefire guy like Franco, but I think Kasey made the right move. I think Chris Bryant is making resurgence in Chicago. He's confident. He's hitting over 320 right now. He's having a great year. He's actually on my list. I said it during the show on Tuesday. He's like my fifth MVP. He gets my fifth vote for MVP this year. That's how good he's doing.
And listen, he's 97% owned. So in 3% of leagues, you can get Chris Bryant. I don't know what's happening there.
That's a 2-team league.
I think Kasey to win this season, I think he made a great deal.
Yeah, well, listen, we were talking about scooping up prospects to get this gold off the wire. But if you've already got it and it's not doing that much for you, you can use it as trade talent, which is just another reason to scoop up these prospects. They have a lot of trade value. I mean, especially in keeper leagues. If you're in keeper leagues, these players should be owned anyway. And Wander Franco's owned in our keeper league. But I think if you traded Ryan Presley and Freddie Peralta just for Chris Bryant in like a redraft league, that's probably a fair deal anyway. And when you in a keeper league, when you trade two young guys for a Chris Bryant, who is still pretty young himself.
He's 29.
29. I mean, you can get 5 or 6 dominant years out of him if he's returned to form. So I congratulate you. I approved of the deal even before it happened. All right, guys. It is time to wrap up our waiver wire for this week. I hope we gave you all the names you need to know. We'll be back here same time next week. 100 Dozier. I'm going to come back next week and tell you I was right. Still. Unless you're playing in a head-to-head league. Then you can streak him if you want. All right, guys. So same time next week. It's 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. Every Wednesday, we will be here, the three of us, talking about the names you need to pick up. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you haven't already, click subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, hit like if you like what you're hearing, and put your comments below, and we will answer you personally.
Oh, yeah. From Kill Cliff, the #1 clean energy drink in the mind of Joe Rogan, comes the Flamin' Joe. Sugar-free, B vitamins, electrolytes, all them good drink things. An epic spicy pineapple fusion from out of this world, straight into your drink hole. Own it. KillCliff.com.